I'd like to ask you about the election. Donald Trump is telling his supporters that the election is rigged and asking them to monitor certain areas on Election Day.
It happens to be based on no facts. No facts.
Democrats and liberals have accused the vote of being rigged or stolen for George W. Bush, both in 2000 and 2004, and have done so for years. Jonathan Chait wrote in New York Magazine in 2012, yes, Bush v. Gore did steal the election. In 2014, Ezra Klein of Vox wrote that 68% of Americans think elections are rigged.
And he said they're right
in
that
2000,
article.
Jesse Jackson demanded an inquiry at the results in Florida, saying shortly after the election, 22,000 people are begging for their vote to count and for its intent to be realized. This last vote caused a crisis in the credibility of this election. This is a crisis of integrity. We, the American people, deserve better. We should settle for nothing less. In 2006, Rolling Stone published a lengthy article asking, was the 2004 election stolen? I'm not confident that the election in Ohio was fairly decided. We know that there was substantial voter suppression, and the machines were not reliable. It should not be a surprise that the Republicans are willing to do things that are unethical to manipulate elections. Josh Marshall wrote about Ohio Secretary of State Ken Blackwell stealing the election.
Tonight, Maine's Republican Party announced Mitt Romney as the winner of their caucuses.
What the headlines haven't told you is that what happened in Maine is the messiest caucus Republicans have had so far.
Certain residents in 3 of Maine's counties are being treated right now as if they do not exist. Kennebec County did vote as they were supposed to last week, but their vote total, as you see here, shows up as a 0 in the Republican Party's official results. Washington County postponed their caucuses on Saturday because of a snowstorm they expected to hit the area.
There's a lot more than what you said. The man who canceled it was a Mitt Romney supporter, and the snowstorm he predicted didn't happen.
Then there's Waldo County. Even though nearly all Waldo County towns held caucuses on February 4th, here's how most of Waldo County's votes look. Look in the official Republican Party's results list. 0 votes. We contacted the Maine Republican Party today to find out what the heck happened to all of Waldo County's votes. So far, we have not heard back. The margin of victory for Mitt Romney in Maine was 194 votes. That's called a hair.
On every occasion, the votes that were lost were Ron Paul votes. In one case, the votes were actually transferred from paper to electronics, and the lady doing the transfer was a Mitt Romney person.
The numbers that the state GOP in Maine are reporting are, according to caucus chairman, incorrect. Waldo County, where voters from 18 towns gathered for municipal caucuses. I talked with Matt McDonald, a pastor of a small community church in Belfast. He was nominated as the chairman of the Belfast caucus. The state instructed the chairman to not read any of the votes aloud, and instead to send them directly to Augusta. McDonald made a motion to have the votes read aloud at the caucus, and it passed unanimously.
The vote was 8 for Ron Paul, 7 for Rick Santorum, 5 for Mitt Romney, and there were 2 undecideds.
No results have been posted from the Belfast caucus.
The lady on the line said that she had received our tallies, our votes, but hadn't recorded them online yet, and she said Romney with 9, Rick Santorum with 5, Ron Paul with 2. Well, of course, those were not the right numbers, and I told her, and she said, well, those are the numbers we have.
You see, dozens of towns on the GOP site are listed as if no one voted, including in Waterville, Maine, home to 15,000 people.
Are the electronic voting machines used across the country vulnerable to hacking? One professor decided to find out for himself.
That's right. Joining us right now, Princeton University professor Ed Felton with a demonstration from his study. Good morning to you, Ed.
Good morning.
Also, right over there across the studio, you got the 2 kids from Princeton who actually did this work, Ari and Alex. Now, tell us, 5% of the country votes with machines like this, right?
Yes, that's right.
And you are able to hack into it in 10 seconds.
It takes only a few seconds to insert a computer virus into this voting machine.
But how technologically savvy do you have to be a hacker to do this? I mean,
you have to be able to write computer programs,
yep.
Which a lot of people can do.
Sure.
You need to be able to open up this door on the side, which anybody can do, and that's about it.
All right, let's see how it works.
Yeah, you want to show me, if I'm voting, what happens, how it goes wrong, you say?
So we have set this machine up. We've infected it with our virus in advance. Okay. And we're running a simulated election here between George Washington and Benedict Arnold.
I think I know who I'll vote for.
All right.
Go ahead, pop it in.
I'm on your side.
In for you.
Okay.
And just wait a second.
So when I go to vote at an electronic voting machine, it looks similar. It's just like this.
Just like this.
5% of the country.
Okay, so I say start.
Yes.
Yep, I want George Washington.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Okay, now I do next.
Next.
All right.
And cast ballot.
And I see that has registered my vote correctly.
Right.
George Washington, I'd like to cast my ballot. Very simple.
All right, now I'm going to vote.
Just a minute.
All right, so every person gets a different voter access card, right? All right.
It takes a minute.
Loading base. All right, start. I'm voting for George Washington. Okay, cast ballot.
There you go.
Okay.
All right.
Now I'm going to cast a third vote, also for George Washington.
All right. Well, we're going to watch just to make sure.
All right, watch very carefully.
Loading ballot. You're starting. You're voting for George Washington. Okay, good enough. And then you cast your ballot.
So there should be 3 votes for George Washington.
3 votes for George
What
Washington.
are we going to see?
But because you have infected this machine with a virus, perhaps George Washington will not be the winner.
Perhaps right.
All right, so now you're putting in the supervisor
I'm putting the supervisor card. Now it's the end of election day, and I'm the election worker. We're going to count the votes.
Yep.
All right.
I need to put in the highly secret pin 1111.
Okay, there you go.
I think you just accidentally said that out loud. Okay.
Okay, ballot station.
Not secret anymore. I'm going to end the election.
Okay.
Yep.
And that's okay with me.
Yep.
Okay.
And now I'm going to print the results on this printer.
Okay, quickly, very quickly.
Yes. And the results will come out. So here's what happened.
Yeah.
Inside the machine, it was keeping an electronic record of every vote.
Right.
3 votes for George. But the computer virus went and switched the votes inside the computer's memory.
All right.
And when you see this result, what you see, look at the tape right here.
Hold it right there very carefully. 1
vote for George Washington and 2 for Benedict
So
Arnold.
you're saying that hackers would have had to have done this before people voted. They would have had to have infected it with a virus, and then it skews the results.
Before Election Day?
Oh, my goodness.
Anytime before Election Day.
Guilty on all counts, a jury convicted Butch Morgan and Dustin Blythe of forging signatures to get Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton on Indiana's 2008 primary ballot.
They go out and they vote. Doesn't make any difference which candidate they elect.
I'm a programmer. I work for NASA, work for ExxonMobil.
Mr. Curtis, are there programs that can be used to secretly fix elections?
Yes.
How do you know that to be the case?
Because in October of 2000, I wrote a prototype for President Congressman Tom Feeney at the company I worked for in Oviedo, Florida, that did just that.
And when you say did just that, it would rig an election?
It would flip the vote 51-49 to whoever you wanted it to go to and whichever race you wanted to win.
And would that program that you designed be something that elections officials that might be on county boards of elections could detect?
They'd never see it.
So how would such a program, a secret program that fixes the election, how could it be detected?
You would have to view it either in the source code, or you'd have to have a receipt and then count the hard paper against the actual vote total. Other than that, you won't see it.
Nobody should be fooled.